In the fog-covered mountains of northern Oregon, there lived an old man named Elias Porter. To travelers, he was known simply as the Lantern Man. Every evening, as the mist rolled through the valley, Elias walked the winding road between the towns of Ash Bend and Hollow Creek, with a single glowing lantern swinging from his hand. People said that he guided lost souls, not just those who wandered the road, but those who had lost their way in life. Some whispered that Elias had once been a judge, a man of law and reason, who vanished after a tragedy that broke his heart. Others claimed he died long ago, and the man with the lantern was just his spirit, keeping watch over the guilty. Whatever the truth, Elias never denied or confirmed a thing. He simply smiled and said, "We all walk with our own verdict. Some just haven't heard it yet." One fall morning, a young man named Caleb Rowe arrived in Ash Bend. He was 22, fresh-faced, with restless eyes and a sharp tongue. He had studied philosophy, but understood little of people. He believed in logic, not fate, in laws, not karma. Elias met him by chance at the market when Caleb dropped a basket of apples. The old man bent down to help, his lantern flickering faintly, even under daylight. "You're new here," Elias said. "What do you seek?" Caleb hesitated. "Truth, I suppose. I want to know what's real and what's just superstition." The old man's eyes gleamed. "Then perhaps you should walk with me for a while." And so began their strange companionship, the skeptic and the lantern bearer. As weeks passed, Caleb followed Elias on his nightly walks. The old man would stop by crossroads, rivers, and graveyards, whispering small prayers, touching stones, listening to the wind as though it spoke back. Caleb thought it was nonsense, until one night they came across a burned-down farmhouse at the edge of Hollow Creek. Charred beams still stood like black skeletons under the moonlight. Elias stopped there, his expression dark. "This was home to a man named Harris," he said quietly. "He was cruel to his wife and children. They say he beat them, starved them, made them work like cattle. But when he died, the whole town mourned him. They remembered only his wealth." Caleb frowned. "Then justice failed." Elias looked at him. "Justice never fails. It just waits." Then he placed the lantern on a broken beam. The flame flickered violently, then dimmed until it was almost gone. Elias said nothing, only watched the dying light. Caleb shivered, though there was no wind. Days later, Elias gave Caleb a task. "There's a funeral today," he said. "A farmer who drowned in the river. Go and tell me, where do you think his soul has gone?" Caleb raised an eyebrow. "You expect me to guess heaven or hell?" Elias nodded. "No guessing, knowing. You'll find your answer there." So Caleb went. At the funeral, he listened to the villagers speak. They wept for the farmer, calling him a kind man who gave bread to the poor and worked hard for his family. Even the priest's voice trembled with affection. When Caleb returned, Elias asked softly, "And?" "He must have gone to heaven," Caleb replied confidently. Elias smiled faintly. "You see heaven not in clouds, but in memories. Remember that." A week later, another funeral bell rang, this time for a wealthy merchant, Mr. Benson. Elias again sent Caleb. "Go," he said. "Listen well." At the graveyard, the crowd was thin. People whispered behind gloved hands, words like greedy, cheater, heartless. Even the priest kept his prayer short. Caleb came back with a somber look.
"He's gone to hell, I suppose," he said. Elias asked, "And how did you know?" Caleb hesitated, because no one remembered him kindly. The lantern man nodded slowly. "When light leaves no warmth, what use is the flame?" Caleb didn't fully understand, but the idea stayed with him, like an ember that refused to die. One evening, as they reached a foggy crossroads, they saw a man kneeling in the mud, ragged, filthy, trembling with cold. He looked up as they approached, his eyes hollow. "My name's Jonas Hale," he croaked. "I was a soldier once. I did terrible things. I can't sleep. Every night I see the faces of the people I killed." Elias knelt beside him. "And what do you seek now?" "Forgiveness," Jonas whispered, "but I don't know where to find it." The old man placed the lantern between them. "Then help someone tomorrow before the sun sets. That is where forgiveness begins." The next morning, Caleb found Jonas near the river, helping a widow repair her fence. He smiled for the first time in years. But when night fell, Jonas's body was found by the same river, drowned, his hands still clutching the broken rope he'd used to pull the widow's wagon from the mud. Caleb told Elias in tears. Elias only said, "He found his peace. He lit a lantern inside himself, and it will never go out." Months passed. Caleb grew wiser, but also restless. He wanted concrete proof of the things Elias spoke about: karma, light, the invisible ledger of deeds. "Show me something real," he demanded one night. "Show me heaven and hell." Elias stopped on the road and turned slowly. His lantern's flame grew taller, brighter. "You wish to see them? Then listen closely. Heaven and hell are not places. They are mirrors. Every soul sees what it has built." Caleb's frustration boiled over. "That's just poetry. People need truth, not riddles." Elias's eyes hardened. "Then perhaps you must earn it." The next day, he gave Caleb a sealed letter. "Take this to the woman who lives beyond the northern hill. Her name is Mara Ellison. When you deliver it, ask her one question. What did the lantern man do for you?" Caleb followed the road through thick fog until he reached a small cabin by a lake. A woman in her 30s sat outside, weaving baskets. Her face was gentle but haunted. "Mara Ellison?" he asked. She nodded. "I bring a letter from Elias Porter." Her eyes filled with tears before she even opened it. After reading, she whispered, "He still remembers." Caleb, curious, asked the question, "What did the lantern man do for you?" Mara looked into the distance. "He saved me from myself." Then she told her story, how she had once been the daughter of a cruel landowner, how she'd watched her father ruin lives with greed. One winter, when her father died suddenly, the townspeople wanted revenge. They burned the estate and blamed her. She fled into the woods, planning to drown herself in the lake. That's when Elias found her, shivering, broken, ready to give up. He gave her his lantern and said, "Hold it until you can forgive him." "For 3 years," she said, "I kept that lantern burning, and the longer I forgave, the lighter it became." She lifted her sleeve. A faint scar ran down her wrist. "Now I help others instead of cursing the past." Caleb listened in silence, finally understanding what Elias meant about mirrors and choices. When he left her home, he noticed that the air around him seemed warmer, as if the world itself approved. On his way back, A violent storm struck. Lightning split the trees, and the wind howled through the valley. Caleb hurried down the trail when he saw something glowing ahead. Elias's lantern, lying shattered in the mud. "Elias!" he shouted. The old man was kneeling beside the road, bleeding from a fall. Caleb ran to him, heart pounding. "You're hurt!" Elias smiled faintly. "Not hurt, spent. My time's been long, longer than most." Caleb grabbed his hand. "You can't die now. I need you to finish teaching me." The old man chuckled weakly. "Then remember this. We all carry a lantern. Every choice adds oil or steals it away. When your flame burns steady, you become light for others. When it dies, darkness spreads." He pressed something into Caleb's hand, the cracked glass of the lantern. Then his breath faded, like smoke leaving a candle, and the storm went silent. In the weeks that followed, the townspeople buried Elias Porter on the hill overlooking the valley. They said the lantern's light could still be seen at night, though no one dared climb to see for sure. Caleb stayed. He rebuilt the hermitage and took to walking the same misty road with a new lantern of his own. But he didn't preach or boast. He simply helped, guiding travelers, feeding the poor, visiting graves, speaking gently where anger lived. One evening, a young girl stopped him on the road and asked, "Sir, how do you know who deserves your kindness?" Caleb smiled softly. "Everyone does. Kindness isn't a reward, it's a cure." The girl's eyes widened. "Are you a priest?" He laughed. "No, I'm just someone trying to keep the flame alive." And when the fog swallowed him again, his lantern flickered brighter, steady, golden, endless.
There are people who believe heaven is a place you go when you die. And there are others who know better, who see it in the warmth of forgiveness, in the peace of a good deed, in the quiet moments when guilt turns into grace. Elias Porter taught that no one escapes the law that governs all, the law that weighs every intention, not just every act. It is not God who judges us, but the reflection of our own heart when we finally see it clearly. If your actions bring light, you walk in heaven even now. If they spread pain, your hell begins before death ever comes. So ask yourself, when your lantern burns out, what kind of light will it leave behind?